And welcome back to another edition of Take 5 featuring the inimitable Groz with Gas. That's us. I'm not Gas, I'm Groz. He's not Groz, he's Gas.
That's
and we welcome our worldwide audience. How am I doing?
Remember, Take 5 was the original name for this one. We really thought we were going to do 5 minutes before we realized it takes us 5 minutes to say hello.
Yeah, it was never going to be 5 minutes, was it?
It wasn't. Gary Hill Jr. is going to join us in a few minutes, in about 5 minutes. The one of the voices of the Seattle Mariners and an old friend of both of ours, and a guy you worked with quite a bit. And we'll talk. And obviously, the lead story today is the M's and Cal and all that. We'll get to that with Gary in just a few minutes. But another big story, Groz, two football things. We can touch on the Seahawks, and then also college football goes for real this week. And you know what? I mean, there's games Thursday and Friday and Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But Saturday, 9 a.m. is when it feels like the season kicks off, and it kicks off with what could be a championship preview with Ohio State hosting Texas. I mean, just a monstrous game for the first game.
How about Texas, being number one? This is one that surprised me. First time in their history, preseason number one, which shocked me. And this is also coincides with the first time a number one team has not been favored to win their opening game.
Isn't that something? Yeah, it's well, they're getting 2.5. Well, it was 3. They're down to 2.5. I can't imagine. I read a piece about Arch Manning this week and about like what his recruiting was like, just the amount of hype around him in high school. And, I'll give Sark credit. He's done a nice job of managing that situation and kind of explained to everyone. And I think the Mannings absolutely bought into it. Said, look, he's going to wait his turn and he's going to learn and he's going to get his opportunities. And it's not like he hasn't played, but this will be the first time he's really in the spotlight for this team.
Yeah. Making 9 figures, like every good college player is. I mean,
I don't think he's making 9, but he's making a lot.
I'm sorry, 8. I think his deal is 8 figures. Actually, I think it's $11 million or something like that. But it's that's the bizarre part of it. But no, you're right. It's exciting. I mean, it should be a great game. And Sark is. You got to credit the guy, period. I mean, he has rebuilt his career from the ashes, you could say, on 2 different occasions. He, come back from adversity and built himself back into a situation where, because he's a good coach, he gets more opportunities, and you get those opportunities, take advantage of them, and he has.
I haven't talked to him since he left Seattle, but I love the guy. Always did. He was always first class with me. I felt bad for the public problems he had. I'm proud of him for just addressing it and getting it done. And I mean, now he's got, the pressure cooker job of all of college football. I mean, what an amazing life the guy has had to this point. And it could get even bigger and better this year. So I like him. I like him a lot.
That'll be a fun game to watch. And it is surprising to see that. Why is that the first weekend's game? I mean, was there any...
I think they
reasoning behind it, or
they just did the deal. They're opening in Texas next year. I think more and more now teams are realizing you don't have to go undefeated. You can take a loss or even 2 and still make the playoffs. And I mean the playoffs are going to be the same I think this year as they were last year, with the exception of the seeding changes. But they're going to grow. Obviously, it's going to get bigger, and whether that's a good thing or not, we'll see. I wish they'd just give it some time. At this level, so let's see how this works for a few years. But that's not going to happen.
No, guys, it's not. The almighty dollar is second to no one, waits for no one, and they will be rushing to make those sawbucks as soon as they can. So, I expect it'll be expanded. Look, I have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, we talked about this. There was a story that the way they're setting up college football now is guys might be able to play pro football and go back and play college football after that.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about anymore? Why are we calling it college football?
Yeah.
It really isn't.
It reminds me so much of boxing, which was gigantic in this country in the 50s and even into the 60s and even into the 70s, but had no governing body and eventually kind of fell apart under the weight of its own indiscretions. I'm not sure the same thing exactly could happen in college football, but there's nobody governing this sport. It's the conferences, and it's whoever's the most powerful in the conference at that moment. That's who's calling the shots. I could see problems coming down the road.
Especially since you're just trying to align schools with winning sports teams, and now education or anything like that matters less and less and less. So it's going to become, what is this all about? I mean, we're calling it college football because that's what the boosters, donors want to call it. Want to have the same feeling they've had for years. Want to keep doing what they've been doing for years, which is fine, but it's not the same thing anymore. So it's Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. There are more changes to come, but it's also a very powerful grip on us. It's been part of Saturdays for most sports fans in this country for decades and generations, and that's not going to go away quickly.
No, it's not. I mean, the Cougars open on Saturday late in the day. The Huskies open at night. They've got an 8:00 kickoff. I'm bullish on the Huskies this year. I like Fish. I think what he did last year is remarkable. I think it's going to come into focus this year because I think they're going to have a decent year. And people are going to start looking back at last year going, that's really amazing to get 6 wins out of a team where everyone left. And you had to start from zero. If Damon Williams Jr. is as good as we think he is and as good as he looked in the Sun Bowl, which is a big if, that's just one game.
Right.
But if he is, and if their line can give him some time, I think they're going to be a very fun team to watch this year.
I hope you're right, and I agree with Fish. You were a doubter. You're not after last year. Because it was a remarkable job he did with that team last year, considering the change in conference and everything to play as well as they played with all those new guys. It was really a remarkable achievement. So, I think they're going to be a lot better, but we'll see. We'll see.
Seahawks, meanwhile, the NFL goes into its weirdest week of the year where all the exhibition games are done and now nothing happens for a week and a half until next Thursday night when the season opens.
Except they cut off a lot of heads, Cass.
Cut down day.
There's a lot of casualties coming to an NFL team near you. I mean, it's literally every team is cutting roughly 35, 40 guys. Is that about right?
I think so. Well, yeah, somewhere like that. So, it's going to be it's a tough week because, guys are losing their jobs, and you never like to see that. But some of them will land other places, and then the Seahawks are an example of a team, Groz, that could be a pretty good team this year and start the year 0-2 because I don't think they'll lose to San Francisco. But San Francisco, then at Pittsburgh, it's a rough way to start the year.
It is indeed. I think they'll have their problems this year, but we got bigger fish to fry right now, gas away.
Yes, we do.
We've got a legend in our midst.
The Mariners promised us Cal Raleigh today, and apparently it's starting to look like maybe that fell through. And you may be muted, Gary, because unless you were laughing silently at my horrible joke.
It may have been. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You hear me? Okay, good.
We got you.
Okay, good. It was a good. It was a little choked up here. Very emotional today. Yeah. It was, I'm no Cal Raleigh, so I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. They did the best they could, I'm sure. Groz, you should give him a proper introduction because you and Gary go back and worked in the trenches of the rugged Western Athletic Conference for years.
I had more fun with this guy, Gas, than almost anyone. We had such a good time doing these Seattle U games together. And it's the sort of times where you tell the stories and you're not going to laugh at them because they're so silly, they're so stupid, but we found them funny. And, funny is funny, and we said the same dumb shit to each other time after time after time and laughed at it time after time after time. Gary was just a delight to be with, a delight to be around. I was thrilled when he got his opportunity with the Mariners, knew that he was going to make it happen big, but, the laughs we had together, the good times we had together were absolutely unmatched, Gary, and I'm really, really, I've told you this before, I'm proud of you because I know you do great with the Mariners and your opportunity is fantastic, but you'll always be Mr. Basketball to me.
Yes.
You'll always be Mr. Basketball to me, and, if I could just show you a quick picture that kind of sums up our relationship to a degree. You guys see that?
Yeah, what's he holding up, a giant Groz head?
Yeah, giant Groz.
Yeah.
Your actual head.
Yeah. So great. Those were the greatest times. All over the country. In those days too, Seattle U they were playing everywhere. So we were in Ruston, Louisiana, and Jonesboro, Arkansas, just traveling the country side by side and hanging out. Those were the greatest times. Groz, you're the absolute best. You taught me so much about
Drinking
broadcasting and that, and whiskey sours and everything else. But spending time with you on the road was those are times I will never forget. You're right about the silliness, the laughs, some of the things we witnessed in some of the random places we were. I will never forget.
Mixed drinks in styrofoam cups.
Yes.
During the game.
Yes.
Of course. And, just the laughter was a great part of it. And it reflected itself in the broadcast as well. And Gas, you and I had the same sort of relationship. It just makes things so great when you connect on that level.
Yeah.
And, I say a name like Sporty Carter to Gary, and we're getting any conversation of his, it's going to get him. And it's just one of those things. And, meanwhile, you've had the ride of your life here with the Mariners the past couple of years, buddy.
Yeah, I feel so fortunate. I feel so lucky as somebody who grew up here, Tacoma kid, right? It's always been my dream to broadcast with the Mariners. It's what I want to do my entire life. I'm like everyone else. I listened to Dave and Rick growing up, and that's what I want to do, despite it being utterly absurd and ridiculous. Like, how could some Tacoma idiot kid be in that
Right.
spot at some point? And somehow, some way, I find myself here, and it's been amazing. And this year's been incredible with Cal Raleigh, playoff chase and everything else. And I feel so lucky. I feel so fortunate with everything going on and where I'm at right now.
Well, and we'll get to the specifics of the team in a second, but one last thing I want to ask you is, it's not like you're ancient, but your whatever your, if you want to call it your big break, your chance to contribute to the Mariners broadcast in a very meaningful way, kind of came after you'd been around for a while, to where you might. I'm wanting to ask you, did you kind of think to yourself, okay, I'm okay, I get to work around Seattle and I'm doing some fun stuff and I help out here and there. This almost kind of had to be a little bit of a surprise to you, and a very pleasant one, that it came at this point in your life.
Yeah, it's interesting, the journey, when I look back on it now, because there were times where I've been offered spots other places and jobs that was really flattering and that I really considered. But for me, this has always been home, and I wanted to make it happen here at home. And while I think I would be a good broadcaster other places, and it'd be fine, this is where my heart is, though. And I think it's just better that it's with the Mariners and it's here. So that always played into decision making over time. And
Right.
it's been a long stair step of a process, and you never know in this business. Like, you never know how things are going to work out at the end of the day. And I just feel so lucky that it's worked out in this way, and I've been able to stay home and with family and friends and everyone else that I see at the ballpark every single night. I'm just so thankful that it's here.
Yeah, I remember talking to you about it. I think I got this right, Gary, about Pawtucket, which was, a real stepping stone job to the major leagues. And I think that's when I gave you some rare good advice, since I usually give just loudmouth bad advice. But it was kind of that, if you didn't feel about it the way you just described how you felt about home, and you had your foot in the door already with the Mariners, it probably was worth staying here rather than trying to get hired by going somewhere else. And it was the right decision you made, and they saw your worth immediately, which someone like me knew about. You're a switchblade, and that you can do so many things around the broadcast as well as the broadcast, and that's what paid off for you. And it was great decision making on your part, and it's terrific that you're doing the games, Gary, and you're doing such a great job on them too. So that doesn't go. This is no one doing you a favor, buddy. You're doing good.
I appreciate that. It was great advice too, and you're right how you described it. It's funny, as we all know, the landscape in media has changed so much. And one of the things I tell kids coming up that ask me about, how do I get to be a major league broadcaster, that sort of thing. And the thing I say all the time is, do as much as you can do. Be as valuable. And that was part of my journey. Is like, can you do this? Yes, I absolutely can. Even though a lot of the times I couldn't. I figured it out along the way. I just kept saying yes to everything, and eventually this is where I ended up. So the more you can do, the better off you are, I think.
Well, it sounds like Groz was a wise counsel. The only advice I would have given is, remember, if you take the Pawtucket job, every night when you walk out of the press box, you're in Pawtucket. So think about that. You're not in Pawtucket now. You're in Seattle, and you're seeing something that is historic. And it's cool because it's the kind of history that's happening not every day, but certainly about once a week. Something happens where you go, well, no one has ever done that except Cal Raleigh.
Yeah.
And Gary, I'll talk about yesterday's first home run. For a brief second, I thought he might have hit it out of the ballpark. I mean, he got all of that ball. And I don't know if anybody could ever hit it over that left field wall where the roof comes rolling across. But man, he got about 4 or 5 rows up into the second deck out there, and just a remarkable blast by Cal for number 48.
An amazing home run. I was thinking about yesterday, and just what an incredible individual day that was for Cal. I mean, he hit number 48 to tie the all-time record for catchers home runs in a season. He hit 49 to break the record. It was his 9th multi-home run game of the season, which breaks Ken Griffey Jr.'s Mariners record. It breaks Mickey Mantle's record for a switch hitter. He's hit more home runs in a season at T-Mobile Park. And by the way, he caught his good friend Logan Gilbert setting his career high with 13 strikeouts. I can't imagine a better day to have at the ballpark than that.
Yeah,
I mean, when you hear every record he's breaking now is Bench, or Mantle, or Griffey, it strikes you that this is really the season it seems to be. It's hard to believe, but it really is happening. And he's carried him for so long, Gary, and now we're seeing the other guys in the team. You know it's got to happen. The other guys got to start picking it up a little bit, and some guys are. Julio is, and you've got guys ready to seems to jump in the breach, and you got Victor Robles back. Talk about him a little bit in terms of what can he add to the team that you feel like they've been missing and can make a difference for them. We're talking about 3 or 4 different games over the next 30 or so can make a difference for this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're at the stage of the season where every game matters, especially when you're chasing the Astros 2 games back. And Robles specifically, man, it's wild to think about that he's only played in 10 games before coming back. that injury in San Francisco, where that's the way he plays, like he's putting his body on the line every single game. But he provides a spark. He's a real energy guy. And I think his fit for the Mariners right now is critical because we have seen them struggle against left-handed pitching, and he's a right-handed hitting outfielder. So I think in just terms of fit, it's a really great fit. But he provides that extra energy, that extra spark. He can steal a bag. He can lace one into the gap. He was critical last year. He was so good down the stretch. Like I don't know what's going to happen this final month of the season. He's been out so long, but you can picture a scenario where he could be a big contributor down the stretch. And of course, he's going to miss a few more games with the suspension. That's going to happen at some point. But it feels like he could be a big part of things here down the stretch.
It does, and it feels like Mariners have taken heat over the years for not making enough moves. They made the moves this year. They recognized, I think, the Raleigh situation. Their pitching staff said, we got to go for it. I mean, it feels like they've done that now. Whether it works or not, we'll see. But I was watching yesterday and just looking at the lineup on the scoreboard. And Gary, for the first time in a long time, the top half of their lineup elicits, I think, a little concern or a little fear from opposing teams. It felt like for a long time there was at least one hole in those first 5 slots. There's not right now, and even down through. No team's going to be perfect, I don't think, but lineup-wise, everyday lineup-wise now, I'm not sure you could ask more out of this team right now, considering what was available and what they're putting out there.
Yeah, I mean, you guys would know this too, is I think this is probably the deepest Mariners lineup since early 2000s. I think that's what we're talking about, just 1 through 9. It's a really deep lineup and a lineup with a lot of threats, which if you get in a postseason scenario, you're going to have to mash homers. And this is a lineup that I think can mash homers with the best of them. And Gino, of course, was a great add. So fun to have him back. But I think Naylor in particular really puts the lineup together. That left-handed bat in the middle, just good professional plate appearances. He can get you a double, too, even hit one out once in a while. But they just have a lot of balance in their lineup for the first time, too, with a lot of threat. It's the best lineup we've seen in a while. And for me, I think the key down the stretch is going to be the rotation. Like, it hasn't lived up to what it was last year, and we know why, with the injuries, everything else. But it's intact for the first time this season. It feels like, despite 2 starts ago, both Gilbert and Kirby are moving in the right directions. And if you can get that 5 rolling in the final month, you're going to have a chance to win every single game. You're not going to, obviously, the final month. But with those guys rolling, you feel good going into every single game. And it puts them in a spot where they could reel off a final good month and maybe overtake the Astros and win the division. And then everything is on the table if they get into the postseason. Because I just think the American League is so wide open.
I think you're so right about Naylor, man. I had no idea this guy was, A, so much fun. So he seems like a great guy to have on the team. B, he's slower than me in gas, and he steals bases. I mean, I actually read a thing that he timed him out at 5:46 of the 5:35 player, or 5:26. Like 9 guys in the league are faster than him, and he's stolen 22 bases. He stole 11 with the Mariners. I mean, he seems like a guy who. I mean, that itself is bringing something crazy to the table. I mean, how come this guy isn't stuck somewhere? Because I think the Mariners should sign him. I'm sure there's a lot of groundswell for doing that right now.
He's a great fit, and at a position where they really need it. And you look at the prospects coming up too. There's no obvious answer at first base in the near future or long term. I just think he's a great fit too, and I like the little edge that he plays with as well. I don't know. And there's no way to measure this. I just feel like on a baseball team, it's good to have a lot of different kind of personalities.
Definitely.
I think that's a good, healthy thing. And the fact that he plays with a little edge, I think, is a good thing for this team as well. I just think in a lot of ways, he's such a great fit. And the stolen base thing is so great. Between him and Cal, the fact that they're closing in on like 40 stolen bases combined this year is incredible.
Hey, you mentioned the rotation, and Cal gets all the headlines yesterday for obvious reasons. But if it wouldn't have been for Cal, Logan would get the headlines. Logan Gilbert was as good, I thought, yesterday as I've seen him. Certainly as good as he's been this year. He's had such an odd year. Comes off of a horrible, maybe one of his worst performances, and delivers one of his best. And could have gone, if it hadn't been 11-1, could have gone another inning. And his pitch count was manageable, and they took him out intelligently. They said, let's sit him down. We're ahead by 10 runs. Talk about, because I've always thought this guy is a horse. He's the horse. He's the guy that can ride, and getting him right for September. I thought that was huge yesterday, and I know it doesn't mean he's going to be great his next time out, but it sure makes you feel good that he didn't string together 2 bad performances, and now we'd be having a completely different conversation.
100%. Because if you ask me, who do you want starting game 1 of a playoff series? And it's no disrespect to Wu, who's been the best consistent pitcher for the Mariners this year. But for the Mariners to go deep in the playoffs, I think you want it to be Logan Gilbert, because he has the potential, that ace potential. And we've seen it. Like last year, he was spectacular. And as you mentioned, this has been a really odd year for him. And we've seen the dominance, but we haven't seen the length in starts. They've mostly been like 5-inning starts. It's kind of been uneven. But you're right, yesterday it feels like the first time this year that he really put it all together. We saw the dominance. We saw the length. If you get that Logan Gilbert, he doesn't have to strike out 13 every start, but if you get that Logan Gilbert the rest of the way, then I think you're talking. Because, like in a playoff series, for example, Gilbert, Kirby, Wu, who are all pitching really well right now, with the offense, you can make a lot of noise in the American League. Because I just look around and there's no there's no team in the American League that you feel like, oh, there's nothing we can do there. Every team in the American League is flawed, and if the Mariners can get cooking in the rotation, I think they're truly as good as anyone in the American League, and I think Gilbert is a huge part of that.
Yeah, and they're experienced pitchers in postseason too.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just one, but they all have been there. So it's I like them. I think a month ago I sent a tweet that I thought they'd win the division. I do think they're going to have a great September. I do think Texas is going to be the team that's going to chase them in, maybe even more so than Houston. But this has just been a lot of fun to watch. And last one from me, talking about Dan Wilson, Gary, has he changed as a manager as he's gotten more experienced, or is he still the same sort of guy he was when he came in?
So he's the same sort of guy in just his personal relationships. As we all know, Dan's the greatest. He's the greatest guy in the world, and everyone loves him, and everyone loves playing for him. And those are the kind of things, like interpersonal relationships, that haven't changed. He's been the same guy throughout. I think there's been a lot of learning curve in terms of in-game decisions, things like that, as it would be for anyone in that position for the first time. And he's not someone that's managed before. So he just crossed over 162 just in terms between last year and this year. So he's got technically now a full season. And I still think it's a learning process, as it would be for anyone. And I think about Scott Service, for example, who was here 8 years. He was a different manager in year 8 compared to what he was in year 1. I just think even especially nowadays, I think it's an enormous job. Like it's much more what we watch on the field every day is we watch the pitching changes and the pinch hits and things like that. But the job from when you walk in the door at 10 a.m., you're managing so many different people, so much data, communication from the front office to the coaching staff, to the dugout, feeding info to players, communicating with your health staff too, how guys are doing, where they're at. There is just so much more now, information and everything else, staffs, than there ever was. And I think that's the biggest part of the job. As important as, hey, who's going to pitch the seventh here matters in a game, like all that stuff behind the scenes, though, I think is critical and the most important because you're going nowhere if you're not doing that well.
I said to somebody yesterday, and I've thought this for a while, Dan, across the board, his playing career and now how he manages a team across sports and jump to the T-shirt you're wearing, Gary, he reminds me so much of Nate McMillan.
Oh, yeah.
Career-wise, Nate was never the greatest player on the team, but you're not going to win as many games if you don't have him. Same thing with Dan. And then coaching-wise, Nate, what I loved about Nate as a coach was 100% comfortable in his own skin. Didn't care too much what you thought or what anybody else. I remember one time, I forget what it was, one of the Sonics bench guys was like, I'm not sure what my role is with this team. And Nate told me on his show, he says, well, Gas, his role is to be ready to play when I tell him to get in the damn game. That's what his role is. And I don't know if I'd ever hear that sentence come out of Dan's mouth, but you know what I mean? Just this kind of confidence in this. I don't know. I can't get inside his head, but it just feels like Dan has that perfect, like, no fear of failure. Like, that ain't going to define who I am if things don't go right. Nate was the same way. I think those two are kind of similar that way.
I think that is 100%. I love that comparison. And I feel like their playing careers were very similar as well. Like, both really good players, not superstar level, but just loved by the city, right? I mean, both guys, like, retire number 10, retire, number 6, Dan Wilson in the Mariners Hall of Fame, right? I mean, that's the kind of level they achieved. It's funny. I was at a Kraken game over the winter, last winter, I think, and Dan was there, and Nate McMillan happened to be there, and they ended up talking side by side. I was like, at the time I grew up, I was like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened. It's Dan Wilson and Nate McMillan side by side, just chatting. This is amazing. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah, for anybody, this is the best thing ever. Yeah, it's so great. I love that comparison, though. And they both had really similar journeys, as you point out, like great playing careers onto coaching and doing everything else. Of course, Nate McMillan, man, he's been at this for a long time now.
Yeah, down there keeping things together in L.A. right now for the Lakers. No easy task.
No.
Well, Gary, I hope you're still going to Banana Republic and not buying your kids anything there.
I don't even know what that means, but it's funny.
That's the point. That's one of those things. But you got my best to Mary, by the way, and your family. I know they're doing great. I know everyone is really thrilled for what's going on, and I think you're going to be calling games in the World Series this year, man.
Oh.
I can't think of anyone who's more deserving of it than you are. It's just been a pleasure to know you and have this conversation with you. It's been so much fun, and really have enjoyed working with you. And really, again, I've said it a million times, I'm so happy for your success.
Oh, Groz, you're the best. I can't thank you enough for all the support through the years. Mary sends her best as well. I told her I was coming on with you guys, and she got very excited. She wants to see you again soon, so we'll have to make that happen in the off season. But
she got very excited and said, "They're still alive? They're doing things, really?"
So,
hi, man. Gary, thanks for the visit and for joining us, and we'll do it again. We may have you on every week the way things are going right now with the M's. It could happen.
Seriously, anytime. I love you. You guys know I love you guys so much, and I've talked about growing up in Seattle and what a big Mariners fan I was. I was a huge fan of you guys too. You guys set the absolute gold standard in terms of talk radio in Seattle, and it hasn't been equaled in my opinion. I always loved listening to you guys, and the fact that I'm here talking to you now, it's another Nate McMillan moment for me. So thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure, Gary. Thanks a lot. See ya.
See you soon.
Gary Hill Jr. of the Seattle Mariners joining us from the stately Hill Manor. If you want to hang around, Gary, you can hear the in the news story if you'd like, if you don't have any place to go, and you can follow Ian Groz. It's a heartwarming story today, the kind that you're going to love, I think. We're headed to Georgetown, Kentucky, where James Farthing did what he does every Friday night, about a month ago, stopped in the Georgetown Pumpkin Shop and bought himself a lottery ticket and something sweet. And he says he always buys a lottery ticket because he figures someone's going to win. Well, I'll tell you what, James, that someone is you. He wins $157 million from the Kentucky State Lottery. I would think that would bankrupt that state. But what do I know? So he decides, now the next day, you're the winner. He goes, oh my God. He goes, I'm going to give half of this to my mama as a Mother's Day present. I mean, this just gets better and better, right? So his mom, who's named Linda Grizzly, she's going to get half of it. She's pretty excited about it. Then James decides to get his girlfriend, who's named Jacqueline Fightmaster, and they get in the car and head off to the Trade Winds Resort in St. Petersburg, Florida. They go celebrate, live it up a little bit. They got $157 million bucks, right?
Problems.
Well, somehow at the resort, Farthing and Fightmaster became embroiled in a melee after Farthing slugged a guy in the face. It was a melee, a fight, and the police end up there. And as the police are trying to break it up, Farthing kicks a deputy in the head. And the actual radio transmission is, hey, some guy just kicked me in the head. So, you're not going to get one by that deputy. So, now he's in jail, and among other things, he's violated parole because he wasn't supposed to leave Kentucky, because all of this happened in the first 10 days after he'd gotten out of the Kentucky State Pen for running a marijuana smuggling and trafficking operation with his mom. He goes
Florida,
up to
Kentucky,
he
backbone of America.
He took a plea bargain so she could stay out of jail. This guy's really a good son. He's giving her half the lottery. But, I'm starting to think, this guy, he's been in and out of jail a lot. He got $157 million. He's still committing dumb crimes. I don't think the system can do any more for him. I don't know what the solution is. But what can we do for this guy if he can't, he's got problems. And now he's going to go to jail, and they're all going to know he's got $157 million bucks.
Hey, jail's going to take care of him, buddy.
Right.
Jail's going to take care of him, buddy.
He'll get rehabbed. Gary, thanks again. Groz, talk to you next week.
Okay, buddy.